Hey all, my name is Paul Borosky and I am the owner of Quality Business Plan as well as Quality Business Consultant. And what I'd like to do today is to introduce you all to the beginner's guide to financial analysis for BOEING 2021. So the way the video is going to play out is, first and foremost, going to go ahead and give you all a little bit of background about me, who I am, what I do, and why I do it. After that, then I'll introduce you all to the beginner's guide to financial analysis, BOEING 2021, the report that I did publish and write. And I will go ahead and introduce you all to the three different sections of the beginner's guide, which is the income statement summary, balance sheet summary, and then the financial ratios. And then after I'm done introducing that guide to you, we'll go ahead and I'll give you the link to purchase it if you are so interested. Also, just a quick hint, the link is right here. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what I have to offer for the beginner's guide for BOEING. So as promised, a little bit about me. Paul Borosky, MBA, doctoral candidate. I am the author of the BOEING's Beginner's Guide 2021, and I do publish probably between 15 to 25 different company reports as well as beginner's guides. Been doing that for about 5 years. If you're interested in BOEING's report or any other public company report, check out my page right here. I am also the author of Beginner's Guide to Understanding Financial Statements and Financial Ratios, published on Amazon. Check me out there. And then finally, I am an adjunct professor and subject matter expert in finance. So I do have some education as well as real-world higher education teaching experience, backing up my thoughts and ideas in my company reports and beginner's guides. All right, enough about me. Let's talk about the star of the show, which is BOEING 2021 Beginner's Guide to Financial Analysis. So the way the guide's broken out is, it's like I said, it's broken into three different categories: the income statement summary, the balance sheet summary, and then the financial ratio summary. For each one of the summaries, I'll go ahead and identify specific line items that are important for analyzing BOEING, and then I'll explain to you what those line items mean. And then for the financial ratios, I'll show you the calculated ratios, the numbers used, and the formulas and such. All right, so let's go ahead and zip through this little bit of information. So the first section of the BOEING summarized income statement, the BOEING 2021 report, is its summarized income statement. So what I did is I went out and I did a little bit of research into BOEING, got their 10Ks. And then I plugged in the information for the last 5 years of their 10Ks into my financial model. And the financial model summarized information into the revenues, the various costs, and then their net income. Next, what I did is in the beginner's guide, I go through and in the beginner's guide, in the income statement, I'll identify important line items in the income statement, and I'll give you all a little bit more in-depth explanation of what the important line items mean. For example, revenues, I'll explain what revenues are. I'll give you the definition. I'll give it to you in other words, layman's terms, and then I'll provide you all with some tips and ideas on how to analyze that line item. The next section, the second section, is the balance sheet section. So to lead off in the balance sheet section, I do summarize the balance sheet for BOEING for the last 5 years, and here are my findings right here. Again, I get that information from their 10Ks. And then what I'll do is I'll identify important line items from the balance sheet. I'll give you an explanation of what that line item means. I'll give it to you in layman's terms, and then I'll give you some analysis tips as to what to look for when analyzing that specific line item. The third section which is a little bit more in depth than the previous two sections, but the third section is going to be the financial ratios for BOEING. And what I do is I categorize the financial ratios into liquidity ratios, asset ratios, profitability ratios, and then debt ratios. And for each one of the categories, I'll identify important financial ratios within that category. For example, liquidity ratios. Important ratios would be your current ratio, your cash ratio, your quick ratio, and then your net working capital. And from these ratios, I'll then identify, I'll go ahead and summarize the calculated results for each one of the ratios. And then what I'll do is I'll identify a few of the ratios within each category, and I'll give you a more in-depth explanation of that ratio. For example, the current ratio, I'll explain to you what the current ratio is. I'll provide you all with the formula again. I'll explain the current ratio or whatever ratio that I'm analyzing in other words or layman's terms. And then I'll give you all some analysis tips as to what to look for or identify when you are analyzing this particular ratio for Boeing. And then finally, I'll give y'all the current ratio and provide y'all with the numbers that I use for calculating the current ratio for that ratio for the last 5 years. For example, current assets. Here's Boeing's current assets for the last 5 years divided by current liabilities. Well, here's their liabilities for the last 5 years. And then finally, here are the findings for the current ratio for the last 5 years. All right, hopefully this information was helpful. If you are interested in buying my Boeing Company 2021 A Beginner's Guide to Financial Analysis, the link is right here. And as always, have a great day. Thank you.